For generations, the British royal family operated by a strict, unwritten code. Never complain, never explain. Power was built on a foundation of distance, safely guarded behind the heavy iron gates of the palace. Centuries of protocol dictated exactly how a monarch should appear. Public displays of emotion or unscripted moments of vulnerability were strictly forbidden. The role required an unreadable, stoic presence. The public saw the royals almost exclusively from a distance. They waved from inside horse-drawn carriages or stood on high balconies, physically elevated above the people they served. But as the television age brought high-definition cameras into living rooms, that distance began to look less like dignity and more like indifference. The public was beginning to drift away, finding the monarchy's stoic silence increasingly out of touch with the modern world. Enter Diana Frances Spencer. At 19 years old, she was recruited by the palace to fill a specific vacancy, the quiet, traditional royal bride. Her marriage to the heir to the throne meant she was expected to fold into this rigid framework. She was supposed to stand beside him, smile politely, and adopt the family's composure. Almost immediately, the institution's walls began to crack. Diana possessed a natural, unfiltered humanity that couldn't be trained out of her, and soon she would learn to use that humanity as a tool. Diana realized the monarchy's mystique relied on physical separation, so she began to dismantle those barriers from within. She abandoned the mandatory white gloves to shake hands with her bare skin. When meeting children, she ignored the rule to remain standing and dropped to her knees to meet them at eye level. Look at the typical hospital wards of the era. They were clinical, sterile environments. While other royals might walk stiffly past the beds, Diana sat on the mattresses and held the patient's hands. By moving past the physical boundaries set by her handlers, Diana reclaimed her agency. She began choosing to bypass the palace gatekeepers, forging a direct connection that the institution could no longer control. The royal press office carefully curated every message that left the palace, but Diana found she could bypass them entirely. She discovered she could communicate directly to the public through the lens of a camera. By staring down the lens, she used her expressive eyes to tell the emotional story the palace tried to hide. She turned the paparazzi into a megaphone. In doing so, she fueled a new global appetite for constant access, making her the most photographed woman in the world. It was a dangerous symbiosis. The press gave her the independent power she needed to survive outside the royal constraints, but it also locked her into a volatile media ecosystem she could never escape. This conflict with the institution eventually peaked. Following her divorce, the monarchy stripped Diana of her official Her Royal Highness title, but Diana had prepared a strategic pivot. She publicly declared that she had no interest in a physical crown. She wanted to be a queen of people's hearts. That declaration shattered her geographical boundaries. She transitioned from a localized asset of the British government into a global force. By losing her royal status, she gained a different kind of leverage. She was now independent, wielding an influence that reached further than the monarchy's reach ever could. When Diana died suddenly in 1997, the outpouring of global grief caught the palace off guard. The public swarmed the gates of Kensington Palace. Her influence materialized into millions of floral tributes. The sheer volume of flowers piled against the walls physically trapped the royal family, forcing them to acknowledge the reality of her impact. The monarchy initially retreated to their standard playbook, remaining silent and out of sight, but the public, now conditioned to expect emotional transparency, rejected that silence. The institution faced an ultimatum. To survive the 21st century, they had to abandon their never explain motto and adopt Diana's playbook of vulnerability. You can see the inheritance of her strategy in the monarchy today. Prince William prioritizes approachability, openly discussing mental health in a way his predecessors never would have allowed. Prince Harry mirrors that same candid nature, favoring direct human connection over rigid institutional duty. Diana changed the internal culture of the Windsors, but her impact reached much further. She shifted the expectations the global public places on all leaders and celebrities. She proved that the most potent form of influence doesn't come from an ancient crown or strict tradition. It comes from a connection with the hearts of the people.